Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem, welcome back. Today's daf is Kesubos daf Samachtes. We are right on top of the Amud. Tola le Rav le Rebbe Beini Chiti. So Rav sends a letter, a personal letter, as Rashi explains. Igeres Shleimim, a personal letter to Rebbe. And he was Tola Beini Chiti. He threw in, between the lines of the letter. He wrote the letter, and he inserts between the lines the following halachic question. Sometimes in the tshuva svarim they have bein hashitin, they added this. And sometimes you have a letter done and you insert some added PS at the end. So tolei Rav l'Rebbe beini chiti. Rav inserts the following question into a letter which he had written to Rebbe. So what did he write between the lines? Ha'achan sheshibdu mahu. Question. We know that a daughter, upon her father's passing, is entitled to two things: mezonos, regular sustenance, as well as parnasa, her dowry needs. Let's say the brothers took all the assets and they were mishabed. They tied them up, sold, or turned them into collateral for a loan that they had. Mau, what is the halacha? Can the daughter take these items back or not? That was the question. Short and to the point. 3 words. Ha'achin sheshibdu mau. Rebbe receives the letter. And Hava Yosef Rabbi Yehuda, who was sitting in front of Rebbe when the letter arrives. Amar Leis, Rabbi Yehuda asks Rebbe, the recipient of the letter, what did Rav mean with this question? He used a general word, sheshiabdu, they tied up. In which way was it tied up? Machru? Was it by way of them selling those properties to other people? Or mishkenu, or by way of making them into a mashkin, into a collateral? What did he mean? Amar le, Rebbe responds to Rabbi Yehuda, what difference does it make whether it was this way or that? My nafkamina. Bein machru, bein shemishkenu, whether they sold or they were mimashkin those properties, the halacha is one and the same. Moitin leparnasa, the daughters can now take back properties to provide for their parnasa needs, which means their dowry expenses. Vein moitin lemazonos, but they can't take back properties to provide for their daily needs, as we explained the other day, because mazonos is undefined, open-ended. It has no specific amount, and therefore a buyer can't be careful to steer clear of this type of claim, as opposed to parnasa, which is a set amount, as we discussed the other day, and therefore he should have been careful to avoid getting involved in something which was meant to be accessible for the parnasa needs of the daughters. So they have a right to take back that property for parnasa, not mezonos. That's Rebbe's shita. Asks the Gemara, indeed, why did Rav word his question in this cryptic manner? Sheshibdu, why didn't he explain and specify what was on his mind? Rav, if his question pertained to the brothers selling the properties, then he should write machru. He should have asked it clearly. What if they sold? What happens? If his question pertained to a mashkin, he should have sent it that way. What happens if brothers make it a mashkin? Why did he just leave it unexplained by using the word sheshibdu? Answers the Gemara, there was a deeper meaning here. He had it all worked out. You see how the Tanoim and Amoraim worked. Rav tarvayu kamaboyle. The truth is, his question pertained to both possibilities, mechira or mashkin. The Savar already figured like this: I'm going to write it in a way where I can indeed learn both halachas. The Savar ikasivin le machru. Suppose I would word my question like this: if they sold, what happens? If I would write machru, then I wouldn't necessarily get the proper clarity. Why? Sure. If his response would have been, when they sell properties, the sisters can take it back, even from a sale, which is a legal transaction, then of course I would know that if they had just made the property into a mashkin, of course the sisters can take it back, because it wasn't really sold yet. If they can take back from a sale, of course from a mashkin. So I would know both halachas. But But I was concerned that perhaps he'll respond to me, they cannot take back properties. So the question was, brothers sold? Answer is, sisters can't take back. Well, then we only have half the answer. Akati mishkenu kameboili. I still would not know the halacha by mashkin. They can't take back a sold property, but perhaps if it was only in a smash gain, it's not really sold, it was just committed as a collateral, as a security. Perhaps in that case they do have a right to access that property. So I wouldn't know the halacha there. Likewise, suppose I would have asked the question as follows: brothers make it into a mashkin, can she take that back? So again, I wouldn't necessarily get a proper answer for both situations, sale and mashkin, because suppose he responds, she can't take back the mashkin, of course, she can't take it back if they sold. So I would know the answer to both possibilities. But let's say he answers that she could take it back after it was made into a mashkin, I still wouldn't know what happens if they sell the karka. It's a real sale, the transfer of property. I still wouldn't know what happens if they sold. So bottom line is, sure, there's a chance that I would have clarity on both, but all depends on the answer. If I would say machru mahu, and he says, well, they can't, she can't take it back, then I wouldn't know about mashkin, because maybe mechira is more permanent and final than mashkin. Conversely, if I would have asked the question regarding mashkin, if he would have said, oh, she can't take it back, and of course she can't take back, undo a sale, but let's say he would have said, yeah, she could take it back, I still wouldn't know the halacha by the sale, and therefore I chose my words carefully. Achtavle, shibdu. Therefore I figured, let me write the word shibdu, which can be interpreted both ways. The mashma hachi, shibdu can refer to a sale, umashma hachi, it can refer to a mashkin. And this way, when he'll respond to me, he'll explain what he has in mind. If in both cases you could take back, he'll respond that way. If you can't, he'll respond that way. If there's a difference between one and the other, he'll divide them. He'll differentiate. He'll explain accordingly. So he was very specific and particular in the way he presented his question. Ha'achen sheshibdu mahu. What is the halacha when they are mishabed, their father's assets? It can mean mechira, it can mean mashkin. Let Rebbe deal with that. Let him respond accordingly. And in fact, he did respond that way. He said, it doesn't make a difference. One way or the other, the sister can be mighty leparnos. That's Rebbe's shita. Rabbi Yehuda seems to disagree. He says, echad zeh ve'echad zeh, whether it was by way of sale, whether the sister wants to take back the karka for parnasa or for mazonis, echad zeh ve'echad zeh, ein moitzian, they can't take it back. Once it's sold, once it's given away, she no longer has access. Here comes a question. Did Rabbi Yehuda really mean to oppose Rebbe? Rabbi Yehuda lo yishmi'a leiha de Rebbe? Perhaps Rabbi Yehuda simply wasn't aware of Rebbe's opinion that the daughter can access that property. He didn't know about that chita. Had he been aware of that opinion, Hava Makabale, he would have perfectly accepted it, that she has a right to access that property. That's one way to learn. So there really isn't a machlekes. Or Rabbi Yehuda did hear Rebbe's opinion and did not accept it and disagreed. Tashma, here comes a raya. The itma, we have a halacha as follows: Mishameis, a person passes away, leaves behind two daughters who need to get married, who need to take their dowry provisions from his assets. Ubain, he also left over a son, 2 daughters and 1 son. Daughter number 1 took 10% for her dowry. By the time the second one got around to take her dowry, the son passed away. Now technically, the son is the real Yerush of the entire estate, right? They have a right to access the estate for their 10%. But now, by the time the second one got around to take her to taking her dowry, the properties now belong to the daughters. Because the son passed away, it gets transferred to the daughters. Question: do the 2 daughters simply split the assets, or does daughter number 2 have a right to say, look, you took 10%, let me first take my 10%, put that aside, and then we'll split the rest? Rabbi Yehuda, what is the halacha? Shnia vitra. Daughter number 2 forfeits her 10% right. We just take whatever's left over and split it equally. It's too late. Daughter number 1 was Zeiche, she got her 10%, but now they're both equal Yerushim, they both split the property equally. That's Rabbi Yehuda. Amar Bechanina disagrees. He says, Gedoylu mizu amru. I'll even tell you a greater chiddush that was said. Even when properties were sold or given away, a daughter has a right to retrieve those properties for her dowry. She can take back properties for parnasa purposes. So if she can do that, certainly when the properties are here, in their hands, of course she has a right to first take the 10%, and then we'll deal with the Yerusha aspect. But Amras, and you're telling me, Shnia Vitra, daughter number 2, gives up her rights? End of conversation. Oh, so what do we see over here? Apparently, Rabbi Yehuda, the fact that he didn't respond to Rabbi Chanina by saying, well, what do you mean? You're telling me a halacha that a daughter has a right to extract sold properties? If he would have never heard of this shita, he should have responded in wonderment. If it is so that he never heard this shita of Rebbe, right? This is shita's Rebbe, that a daughter can be moitzi leparnas, he should have responded accordingly. Who's the one who tells you this halacha? Where did you hear this from? Oh, apparently Rabbi Yehuda was aware of this opinion. That's why he didn't respond that way. I'm not fully aware of that shita, and I disagree. Asks the Gemara, no. Maybe he never heard of that shita. When he presented his shita, Rabbi Yehuda said that a daughter cannot take back properties. Maybe at that point, at that early point, he wasn't yet aware of Rabbi shita that a daughter can take back properties. And in fact, when he heard about Rebbe's shita, he fully accepted it. The question is, in the case of the 2 daughters and a son, why would Rabbi Yehuda insist that daughter number 2 loses her Isser Nechasim, her Parnasa rights? The difference is that over there, there are lots of assets here. In fact, she's getting 50% of the estate. So she has no right to take 10% and then 50%. She's a Yerush and that's it. We put aside all the other considerations. Isser, Nachas, and Parnasa, that's when there's nothing around. She's getting the full asset, the full property. She's getting 50% of her father's Yerusha. Leave it alone. Amali Rav Yemar Rav Ashi asks Rav Yemar, what kind of svar is this? Just because she's getting from elsewhere, she loses her basic rights of Parnasa? Elamiata. So you mean to say, Ashkecha Metzia Ba'alma. Let's say she happens to be lucky, she was walking down the street, she finds this huge treasure. There's a lot going on in this home, a lot of income right now. Do you mean to say that a rich girl doesn't get Isur Nechasim? She has a right to take 10%. So why would this be different? Just because she's getting a Yerusha, what does that have to do with her Nedunya rights? Amar Lei, Rav Ashi responds, now how could you compare a Matzia? I know Ravach Beisa Mahani Nechsikamin. What I meant to say is like this. She's gaining in a big way from this estate, from these assets. She's already getting 50%, so she forfeits all other rights. The point is that she's meant to be supported from her father's estate. She's getting what she needs. So bottom line is, according to the Maskana of the Gemara, we're working with the notion that perhaps Rabbi Yechanan is not really in disagreement with Rebbe. Typically, he will hold that a daughter has a right to take back properties that her brothers have sold off or given away as a mashkin. Why is she losing it in this case? Because there's Ravach Beis, as we just explained, because she's getting adequate income from her father's estate. Continues the Gemara. Amar Amemar. Here comes an interesting question. This bas, who's getting 10% for the parnas of the nedunya, how is she classified? How do we define this claim? Yereshes Havya. She's like a Yeresh from her father's Nechasim. That's how we treat her. She's inheriting that amount for her Nedunya. She's classified as a Yeresh. Or do we treat her like a creditor, like a Baal Choiv, who has a claim on that property? So Amemar tells us, Bas Yereshes Havya, we treat her as a Yereshes. Armalei Rav Ashi La Amemar. He asks a kasha. Do you mean to say that she has actual rights on that property, like a Yerush, like a son inheriting from his father? He's not just a fellow who has a monetary claim. It's his property. So you mean to say here as well, Ilu, suppose, boy, the brothers wish Lisluka Bazuzi to address her claim by just paying her off. Do you mean to say they can't do that because she has a right on her father's actual property? Is that what you mean to say when you say she's a Yereshes? Amar Le. Amemar responds, why yes, yes. Of course. That's exactly what I meant. Next question. Let's say they want to pay her off, giving her just one piece of property. Okay, this is yours, the rest is ours. She wants, 10% from all the properties. And they say, no, we're giving you one, that's it. Do you mean to say they cannot do that because she has a full right on all the properties? He says, of course, yes, that's exactly what I meant. So who's speaking? Amemar. Rav Ashi Amar, he disagrees. Bas, a daughter in this situation, is a balas chayv havya. She simply has a monetary claim. The brothers can just pay her off and address her claim. And the truth is, Amemar himself retracted and reconsidered the Amar of Ben Yumi, Breder of Nechumi. He has a personal story with Amemar. I was once standing, in front of Amemar when he was, in the Bezdin. And this Isha comes to him. She was a daughter who requested the Isur Nechasim, 10% from her father's property. Davas Kabaya Isur Nechasim. She came to collect her dowry needs. And I was able to tell that Amemar was of the opinion the Iboilis Luka Bezuzi have a Masalakla, that indeed the brothers had the option to pay her off. How do I know that? Amemar didn't really personally express this opinion, but I figured it out by default. Why? I overheard her brothers yelling at her. They were telling her, look, stop playing games, you're giving us a hard time, you want 10% from every property? You know what? We want to give you only one property. And otherwise, if you're going to make trouble, look, let's say we would have had money. We could have just given you money. So that proves that we're right. Stop giving us a hard time, we'll just give you one property, have a nice day. So that's what her litigants were arguing, her brothers. Amemar, who was sitting there, did not defend her position, did not come to her assistance. He just kept quiet, which is indicative of his agreeing with the brothers' claim that they have a full right to theoretically to pay her off. And Taisus brings, Rabbi Natam says, that's why Rabbi Natam was always very careful in his bezdin. When one Baldin would yell at the other one and threaten him, I'm going to do this and this to you, if it was not in line with halacha, Rabbi Natam would respond, Sheker atadoiver, stop speaking falsehood. You can't do that. Don't prop up your position. It's incorrect. It's not erlach. Why? Why did Rabbi Natam have to respond to every expression of a threat of a? So he says based on this Gemara, because otherwise, why would Amemar How would you know that a Maimar agrees with their claim, if not for the fact that he was supposed to respond to them and he didn't, when they presented their argument to her? So you see that a Dayan has to be careful. If something is said before him that's not true or not erlich, he has to shush him up. Interesting tases. Okay, so bottom line is, even a Maimar, who originally said that she's a Yeresh, changed his mind. She's simply a Baal Chayv, who can be just paid off anyway. Now that we've come to this point that she's a Baal Chayv, the question is, whose Baal Chayv is she? The father owes her, or the brothers owe her? The Abba, the father owes her, or the Achi, or is she a Baal Chayv? Her claim is directed at the brothers. What's the difference? It sounds like it's just theoretics. No, there is a big nafkamina. Lemay nafkamina, lemigbala beinanis. Typically, a Baal Chayv, when he's coming to collect property, he collects from the mid-range value properties. A person has, high quality properties. He doesn't have access to that. Inferior quality, that he doesn't deserve, but he deserves something in the middle. That's the halacha which is discussed in Maseches Gittin. So if she's a Baal Chayv of the brother who's around, who's alive, she has a right to collect the Beinani property, and also Shalei B'Shvua. There's no need for her to swear that she never got anything. That's the halacha. Baal Chayv just collects outright. V'ziburis B'Shvua, as opposed to the other option, which would be that she is a Baal Chayv of the father who had already passed away. In that case, the claim is against Papa. The sons are simply paying up for his chiyuv. And halacha is when you go collect from Yisayimim, the father's chiyuv from the Yisayimim, you collect from Ziburas, that's the takana, from the most inferior of the properties, and also you have to make a shvua to indicate that you have a rightful claim. So what's the halacha here? Is she collecting from the father or directly from the brothers? Whose obligation is it, basically? Is it really her father giving it to her, but he passed away, so the brother is sort of filling in for him? Or is it a direct claim on the brothers, in which case she has a right to collect it without a shvua and from Beinanis? To Hashma, here comes a right. The Ravina Agbi Lebarti the Ravashi. So Ravashi had passed away. He left behind a daughter. Ravina gave her as follows. Ravashi left behind a son by the name of Mar, and also a son by the name of Rav Sama. So now, when Ravina gave Ravashi's daughter from Mar's properties, Mar bred Ravashi, Mar the son of Rashi, Beinanis, she took from the Beinanis, without a shvua, because it was a direct claim on the brother. It's a right that it's a direct claim on him. But in terms of the other brother of Sama, the other brother of other son of Ravashi, it so happens to be that he just passed away himself too. So now she had to go to his kids, which is Ravashi's grandson, to collect upon her claim against Rav Sama. Rav Sama was her brother. So Mebreder Rav Sama, when Ravina came to give her from Rav Sama's child, Breder Ravashi, Rav Sama, who was Ravashi's son, so over there it was considered collecting from a Yerush, because it wasn't the grandson's obligation, who's his father, Rav Sama's obligation. There it was the Buris, inferior quality property b'shvua, which required a shvua as well. So the bottom line is, a daughter is a Baal Chayv of her brothers. Shalach le Rav Nechemya, Breder Rav Yosef. So apparently an Isha came to Rav Nechemya to collect the Isur Nechasim, the Nedunya claim. But the fellow who she needed to confront lived in Rabbi Bar Huna's area. So Nechemya Breder Rav Yosef sent a letter, a message, Le Rabbi Bar Huna. Zuta Menardo, that was his name. When this so-and-so Isha comes to you to collect, Agba Isra Nechasim, you should give her, 10%. Afilu Me'itz to Rubla. You see that claim pertains to Karka, just like a regular Shibud, it pertains to Karka, collects only from real estate. But it's Trubula, which is the base of the grinding millstone, that's also considered like karka. It's stationary. It's like karka. She has a right to access that as well. Amar Vashi, ki avinon be Rav Kahana. When we were present by Rav Kahana, we saw the way he conducted his affairs. Hava magbinon afilu ma'amla debesi. We would allow the Isha to collect, to access even property rent. which the brothers are meant to collect from the properties, that's also considered karka because it's income derived from real estate. Here comes another story. Shalach le Rav Anan. Rav Anan sends a message to who? The Rav Huna. And he addresses his message as follows. Instead of saying Rav Huna, he calls him Huna. Huna Chavrin, our colleague Huna. Shalom, peace to you. Okay, that's the opening message. And then here comes the actual message. Ki asya achitas al-kamach, when this Isha comes before you, agba isr nachasi. Make sure she gets her rightful 10%. Rav Huna was not too happy with the way Rav Anan addressed him, just Huna Chavrin. So he sent back as follows. Havi Yosef Rav Sheshes Kamei. Rav Sheshes happened to be sitting in front of Rav Huna, as a Talmud of Rav Huna. When the Shliach arrived with his personal message to Rav Huna. Amarle, so Rav Huna turns to Rav Sheshes. I have a return message for Rav Anan. Amarle, Zil Emele, go ahead and tell him as follows. And you better tell it to him, even though it might be uncomfortable for you. Ubishamta yehi. Mandale Amarle. Whoever does not carry out my message, my instructions, will be b'shamta, will be put in cherem. You better do it. Okay, this is the way you should reply. Give him the following message. Omit the word Rav, no titles. Just say like this. Instead of Rav Anan, say Anan Anan. That's how you should call him. Mimekarki or mimetatali. When you ask me to give the Isha Isr Nechasi, is it from Kark or Metatali? That's number one. A second question I have for you. Uman Yosef Bei Marzicha Beresha. In the Bei Marzicha, which the Gemara soon will tell us, at the home of a oval, of a mourner, who's the one who sits at the head of the table? He didn't explain what Marzicha meant. He just left it as a cryptic, untranslated word. So this is the message back to Rav Anan. Azal Rav Sheshes complied. He went l'kamed Rav Anan and he visited Rav Anan. Amar le, so he tells Rav Anan apologetically. He didn't want to sound disrespectful, so he explained that he's compelled by his Rebbe Rav Huna to speak in this manner. Amar le, he says like this: Mar, you, meaning you Rav Anan, Rabba, you're my Rebbe. I respect you to the utmost. But Rav Huna, Rabbi the Rabbi. Rav Huna is the Rebbe of my Rebbe. He's your Rebbe as well. So he's sort of on top of the pyramid. V'shamuti shamit, mandali amrli. And he actually threatened me with excommunication. Right? If I don't repeat his message verbatim. V'lav de shamit, if not for that threat, le'havaka imna. I wouldn't have come here and spoken to you in this manner. Okay, what was the message? Anan Anan. Right? He called him by his first name. Karki and Metatli. Does the Isha access Karka or even Metatli? That's number one. Number two, Uman Yosef Be Marzicha Beresha, who's meant to sit at the head of the Be Marzicha? Rav Anan, upon hearing this slightly insulting message, Azal Rav Anan Kamed Mar Ukva. So Rav Anan went to Mar Ukva to consult with him how to deal with this. Amrle, Rav Anan tells Mar Ukva, Chazi Mar, do you see Mar? Hechi Sholach li Rav Huna, how Rav Huna is addressing me. Anan Anan. V'oid, another thing he sends me about the Marzucha, the Sholach li Leidan. I'm not sure what he means with Marzucha. What's going on? Leidan I'm not sure what he has in mind. Amrle, Mar Ukva responds, Emily, easy, please perhaps tell me, Gufa du'uv de'echiyava, what exactly happened here? Let's start from scratch. Amrle, so Rav Anan tells him, look, I'll tell you what happened. It happened so and so. I sent him the message, and this is how he responded to me. Amrle, so Mar Ukva tells him, well, he has a full right to respond to you in this way. Look, a person, Rav Anan, you don't even know what the word marzich is. Shalach le Rav Huna. You have a right to go send Rav Huna a message like that. Huna Chavra, now a colleague Rav Huna. You're nowhere near his stature. You shouldn't be sending him, a message in such a manner. And he had a right to respond to you in this way, to teach you, to show you. Okay, bottom line is, my marzicha, what in fact is marzicha? Aval, he's a mourner. The chsiv koyam Hashem al tavel beis marzich. So beis marzich is a place of an aval. Amar avo, menayin la'aval shemesa b'roish. In fact, how do we know that a aval will sit at the head of the table? Shenamar evchar darkem beishav roish. Right? I'll sit at the head. V'eshken kemelech b'gdud, like a king, the head of his troop. Kasher avelim yinachem. Right? Like the aval, who is now receiving consolation. Asks the Gemara, Yinachem sounds like he's consoling other people. He's not on the receiving end. He's not the mourner. He's coming to Menachem achera mashma. Amar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak Yinachem ksiv. True, we read it Yinachem, which sounds like he's providing nachama, but in the spelling, it could have said Menachem. Right? Why did the pasuk choose to spell it in this way? Yinachem. So explains Taisus. So Yinachem, the ksiv, the spelling, could also indicate that he's on the receiving end. Yinachem, he's the aval who is receiving nachama. He's meant to sit at the head of the table. Ma'azutru Amma Mihacha. We have another source for this concept. V'sar mirzach seruchem. And we learn mirzach is a mar, person who's embittered right now. He's in the mourning. V'zach. And his mind is sort of unfocused, right? Removed, detached. So this aval nasa sar l'sruchem. Sar marzach sruchem means that this marzach, this aval is a sar. He's leading the sruchem, the prominent people who come to console him. Amarava, back to the halacha of the daughter with the isur chasim, the parnasa, the nedunya. Hilchasa, the conclusion of Mekarki, Vilim Metatali, she only accesses real estate and not other types of merchandise. Bein Lamazoni, whether she's collecting for her personal needs. Bein Kesubos, for the Kesuba payout. That's by an Isha who needs to be paid out. Bein Leparnosa, whether for dowry needs. But Taisus brings the Bisman Azeh, this is Takanas Go'inim, that they are all goyva these things from even Metatlan. Continues the Mishnah. Hamashlish Ma'os Lebitay. A father hands a sum of money over to a third party. You be in charge. Hold on to this money, so that eventually you'll purchase a field for my daughter, or you'll give it for her dowry when she marries. Hold on to it in the meantime. Okay. Now, the daughter gets engaged. She says, I fully trust my chassan. I'd like you to give it over to my chassan. The father passed away, right? So now the shlish, the third party, he's stuck. He was told by the father to hold on to it, right? But now the daughter, who was meant to be the recipient of this fund, wants it back. She wants her husband to administer it. But he hadn't yet really carried out his shlichus. He was meant to use it for a specific purpose, to buy a field, etc. She says, look, my husband is fully trustworthy on me. I fully trust him. Go give it to him. Don't trust him. Yasa shlish. This shlish fellow has to carry out as instructed. Exactly as he was instructed when he received that money. Divrei Reb Meir. That's Reb Meir's shita. The Gemara tells us because Reb Meir is of the opinion that mitzvah lekayim divrei hameis. There's a special mitzvah. Some say it's the Rabbanon. Some say there's even a source in the Torah that we're meant to carry out the words, the instructions of a departed fellow. He gave him specific instructions. You have to comply. Rabbi Yehuda, he disagrees. There's no such mitzvah, and in fact, he responds to Reb Meir. Well, what good is it to have this other fellow in charge of the money? Look, suppose, fine, he carries out the instructions, he purchases the field, and he gives it to her. Suppose right now she decides, I'm selling it. She can do that. Boom, it's sold. So you're defeating the purpose. You're not really gaining much. You're holding on to it. You'll buy a field and give it to her, and she'll sell and give it to her husband. So bottom line is, it was meant for the daughter. If she's okay with giving it to her husband, gesundheit. This only applies when she's already a mature adult. She's just a ktana. Of course, you can't trust anybody. Hold on to it until they can make conscious, mature decisions. Tana Rabbanan. The same halacha. A father deposits money with this fellow, with this shlish, that eventually will end up by his son-in-law. Likach men sadal bitoy. So the shlish will purchase a field for the daughter, which she will have taken to the marriage. As the daughter says, look, I don't need it, right? I don't want you to hold on to it. I want you to give it to my husband. So what's the halacha? If she's already married, she has a right to say that. Rashi says, the father never meant that the fellow should keep on holding it forever. He meant, until they marry, and now the husband is a trustworthy fellow. In fact, even if she would have the field, he would be in charge of it. The actual field, he would administer in any case. So once they get to marriage, just give the husband the money. If she's merely engaged, at that early point, the shlish has to hold on to the funds. Rabbi Yehuda, no. Hagdoila, she's already Agdoila, Beiman and Nesuin, Beiman and Erison, whether she's already married or just engaged. Horishas Biyada, she has a right to take back that money and give it to the husband. But Tana, if she's not stuck Tana, Beiman and Nesuin, Beiman and Erison, whether this or that, Yasa Shlish, Mashur Shlish Biyada, you have the Shlish hold on to the money in the meantime. Now, my benayu, there certainly is some machlokes between these two shittas in a brisa. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a machlokes. Now, what's the point of machlokes? Which case are they disagreeing about? Is it a ktana who was already married? Is that perhaps the machlokes? The Rabbi Savar Horoshos Biyada. Rabbi would say, well, she's already married. She has a right to get the money. Vasar Besi Lameima. Rabbi disagrees. Even if she's already married, Nam, even then, Gdoila in, only if she's a Gdoila, she has a right to access the money. Ktana loy, but not a Ktana. So Rabbi Meir is actually being machma over Rabbi Yehuda. That's what you mean to say? No. That can't be. Amos Seifa. Take a look at the Mishnah, our Mishnah, which concludes with the following statement. Aval b'Ktana. If she's still a Ktana, Ein Masa Ktana Klum. We don't reckon with her claim. We don't give her any funds. So it's an unequivocal halacha. By a Ktana, the Shlish will hold on to the funds. Now this halacha man Ktana, who's speaking here? Is it Rabbi or Rabbi Yesi? Ilim Rabbi Yesi. Is it Rabbi Yesi? Hamareisha Shamas Mina. We already know from the first part of the Mishnah that according to Rabbi Yesi, if she's just a Ktana, you can't trust anybody with the funds. How do we know that? The Amar Rabbi Yesi. Take a look at Rabbi Yesi's wording. What's the point of the shlish? Maintaining that fund. Suppose he goes ahead and buys the field and gives it to her. And she decides to sell it overnight. Right away, it's it. It's over. It's sold. That was Rabbi Yesi's claim to Rabbi Meir, against Rabbi Meir. Why would he hold on to the money? He'll hold on to it. He'll buy a field, and she takes the field and she sells it. So it defeats there's no point. There's no gain in him holding on to the money. Right? Now, Gedola de Bas Zvini'im. It's clear that we're speaking about a Gedola who has the power, the ability to sell fields, right? Ktana de Lav Bas Zvinihi loy, but not a Ktana who can't sell fields. So it's clear that even Rabbi Yesi, who says, well, release the funds, that's only by a Gedola. So why would the Mishnah have to repeat it again? Forget about it. If it's Rabbi Yesi already voiced this opinion. Already told us this halacha. Apparently it's Rabbi Meir. Elolav Rabbi Meir. Oh, so apparently Rabbi Meir himself also disagrees that by Yektana you can't trust anybody with the money. So again, by Ktana, whether it's Rabbi Meir or Rabbi Yesi, hold on to the funds. So now back to the question. Who's the author of that last halach in the Mishnah? Ela Rabbi Meir. Apparently it's Rabbi Meir speaking. Let's go back to the Mishnah. Let's modify the Mishnah and present it as follows. We start with the halacha. A fellow deposits funds with a trustworthy shalish. Now the Isha would like that money. She says, look, give it to my husband. No. Yasa shlish, mashahu shlash biyadai. The shlish was instructed to hold on to the money until the time comes. Follow your instructions. When does this apply? If she's merely engaged. As soon as she's already married, husband takes over. Hershis biyada. You can free up the funds, give it to the husband. When does this apply? When she's a mature adult. She's only a ktana. Ein masak ktana klum. Don't give it to her. So the last line of the Mishnah is really Rabbi Meir speaking. So clearly Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yossi see fully eye to eye. Rabbi Yaktana, this shlish has to hold on to the money. There's no disagreement there. So what then is the point of their disagreement? There must be some achlekas. Ella, in one case only. Number one, she's a gdoila, she's already a mature adult. Mina erison, she's merely engaged. So if she's a ktana, nothing doing, don't give it to her. If she's already married, all agree, give it to her. Because the husband is a full player in her life. The machlekes is in one specific case. She's a gdoila, okay, granted. She can make responsible decisions, but she's merely engaged. That's the machlekes. Ella gdoila min ha'eris l'ikar b'nayu. Rabbi Meir says, not married yet, don't give it to them. Rabbi Yossi says, look, it's already advanced enough, she has a right to access the funds. Itma, we learned, how do we paskin l'halacha? Rav Yehuda Mar Shmuel, halacha Rabbi Yossi, we paskin like Rabbi Yossi. Rav Nachman, halacha Rabbi Meir. Continues the Gemara Ilfa. And Rashi explains to us that there's a whole background to this story. Rashi is off to the left. Ilfa Shem Chacham. Tala Nafshi. Gufa de Uvda Mesechas Tanis. If you want to find the story, it's back in Mesechas Tanis. Mishum do Yisvu Rabbi Yechon Bereisha. Rabbi Yechon was appointed as the Rosh Hashiva. Because Shahalach Ilfa Beschira, when Ilfa went to do some business. Ki also, when Ilfa returns, Amrulay, they told him, too bad, you missed an opportunity. Apparently Ilfa was greater than Rabbi Yechon, but since he got distracted, he lost that opportunity. He was not appointed Rosh Hashiva, Rabbi Yechon was. They told him, Ihava Yosef Mavagaris, if you would have stayed on and learned, Loi Mar Hava Malach, wouldn't you have become the Rosh Hashiva? He felt very bad. Ozol Tola Nafshi Biskari de Makusa. So he went and he suspended himself from this pole atop the ship which holds the mast. Beklunsas Arozim Shetolim Bavil Nasfina, and he proclaimed, he announced as follows: Mekusa is the vilain, the mast. Amar Kalman de Asi Kalema Afapi Shalachti B'Schar. Even though I had to travel on business, Lo Shachachli Talmudi, I didn't forget anything. I'm still just as before. V'yesh biyad l'sakein kol ha'braises shesidru Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Yossi. And I have a way to I could present the source. I could arrange and clarify all the brises of Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Yossi, which were the more authoritative brises. I'll just skip the brackets. So basically all the important brises which were taught in the Beis HaMedrash, I know them clearly inside out. I could even present their sources where they're to be found in the Mishnayos. So the halacha that you will learn in the brisa is really sourced in the Mishnah, and I can show you every brisa where it's sourced in the Mishnah. Okay? So that's the sort of background to the story. Says the Gemara like this: Ilfa tola nafshi biskari de makusa. So Ilfa suspended himself from the pole over the ship. Omar, he says like this: Ika de Asi, de Omar li milsa. Is there anybody out there that could present me with a brais, a halacha, the Rabbi Chia, Rabbi Yossi, which was learned in Beis Medrash of Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Yossi? These were the more accepted, authoritative brises. Show me any brisa, right? Which I can't clarify and source in a Mishnah. It's a challenge. Give me a brisa, I'll show you the source. And if I can't do that, nafilna miskari v'tavana, I'll jump off the pole v'tavana, and I'll drown. Straight into the water. Okay, so anybody up for the challenge? Asahu Saba. So his older fellow comes along. Tanalei, he presents him with a bryce. A fellow's passing away. He says, look, please provide to my children as follows per week, a shekel per week for their expenses. And the problem is they need way more than that. He underrated it. He underestimated it. Liten lahem salah. They need a salah to live. So what do? He he's only allotting a shekel. Mitzvah l'kayim divrei hameis. Halacha is nois lem sela, we give them a sela. Because although he spoke about a shekel, he was just giving them an idea, but he didn't mean specifically a shekel if they need more. But let's say he is very exacting in his instructions. Don't give them more than a shekel. In that case, he meant what he said. Hein noisen lahem el shekel. You only give them a shekel. Now, Vim Amar, suppose, in addition to giving them their allotment, he also added as follows. I want the leftovers, whatever they're not going to use, after their passing, should go to so-and-so. He had a whole plan worked out. Vim Amar Imesu, if they pass away and they leave over, Yerushu Acherem Tachtem, I want other people to get the rest. In that case, he's very particular. He wants it to be leftovers. So, irrespective of what language he used, Bein Sha'amar Tnu, whether he just said, give them this much, Bein Sha'amar, or he said, Al Titnu, don't give them more. Either way, Ein Nois Shekel, we only give them exactly as he told us to, because he wants it to be leftovers. So the Saba presents this Braisa to Ilfa. Okay, here you go. Tell me where this halacha is sourced in a Mishnah. Amales, Ilfa says, it's an easy one. Hamani Rab Meir, this is Rab Meir Shita, the Amar Mitzvah L'Kayim, Divrei Meis, our Mishnah. There's a special mitzvah to fulfill the instruction of a Meis who passed away. Amar Chizda, Amar Ukva. We don't paskin like that. Hilchasa, the conclusion is Bein She'amar Tnu, whether he used the word Tnu, or Bein She'amar Al Titnu, or he was very specific, don't give them more. Either way, Nois Lam Kol Tzarkim, we give them exactly what they need. Why? What do you mean? Ha'kayim lam? Halacha k'Rab Meir, the Amar Mitzvah L'Kayim Divrei Hameis. We accept Rab Meir's shita. We're meant to follow the exact wording and instructions of a departed fellow. Some of Farshim learn it's based on the concept of Yerusha. Some of Farshim point to a pasuk that they fulfilled Yaakov Avinu's request to be buried here. So we're meant to follow the Meis's instructions. Answers the Gemara, that applies to just general instructions. Do this and that with my assets. But when it comes to his own children and their weekly allowance, the truth is he really is perfectly fine with giving them, as per their needs. Even though he was very specific, give them this and that much. This is who the Asa is trying to, energize them to be calculated and careful in their expenses. But technically speaking, of course, it's his kids and whatever they need, he's perfectly fine. Okay, let's recap today's daf. So a fellow passes away. His daughter has a right to collect parnasa needs, which is another term for dowry. The maskana is she can take back even properties which were sold by her brothers. She's a bal chayv of those brothers, directly a bal chayv of them, and therefore she can collect from beinanis without a shvua, only from karka. We had a story with Rav Anan and Rav Huna that got us into the discussion about the aval that he sits at the head of the table. We give him that honor, that comfort. Then we had the halacha of the mashlish. He deposits some money with a shlish, hold on to it until the time comes when my daughter will need it. So now if she's a ketana, he doesn't release the funds. If she's a gdoila who's already married, we give it to her. If she's a gdoila but only engaged, in that case, we have a machlekes. Rameir says, hold on to it. Mitzvah l'kayim divrei hameis. Follow through your instructions. Go ahead and purchase that field as per instructed. Rabbi Yossi says, what's the point? Even if you buy the field, she can just go and resell it and get back the money. So just give it to her, and you will makayim your obligation. So bottom line is, according to Rameir, there's a mitzvah l'kayim divrei hameis. So a fellow says, give my kids this much, a shekel per week, and they need more. We can give them more as well. But if he says, don't give them more than this specific amount, or in a case where he says, the leftovers go to the other yarshim, in that case we have to follow through as per instructed. But the halacha l'maisa is, The whole point was to be mezaris the kids, and of course, whatever they need, we give them. The father was perfectly fine with that. Hatzlacha Rav and Pesuros Tov.